Thiago Moises is coming off of a devastating loss to Yoel Alvarez, man. I'm talking about a fight where a lot of people, I think he was the betting favorite, or maybe he wasn't the betting favorite, but either way, Moises comes in. We say, look at he's fought the Makashevs, the Alexander Hernandez, Bobby Green, Michael Johnson, and then you come in against Alvarez and you just get picked apart for all of 2 minutes until the fight's over, punches and elbows. It was a referee. They said, stop. Let's stop this. Come on. Now, Christos Giagos, on the other hand, his last fight was to Arman Tsarukyan, where he got caught with a nasty hook that just put him out. That was it. But before that, man, he had a big win over Sean Soriano, second round Bravo choke, right? He had Carlton Minus, decision win. And then a loss to Drakkar Klose, but he still does have a big win against Damir Hadzovic, man. So Giagos has been in more or less good form. Moises has been in more or less good form. But if you look at his last two opponents, I mean, come on, Makhachev, Yoel Alvarez, what are we talking about here? Now, why do you think Moises walks in as a minus 240 favorite with a plus 200 comeback for Christos Giagos? Why do you think that is?
I think it has to be the last fight that Christos Giagos had, man. He was coming in with a lot of hype, and seeing him basically get, stunned on, like where Tsarukyan hit him and he just see him kind of flash, and then the technique goes out the window. He's really looking for grappling, but just basically getting outclassed pretty heavily by Tsarukyan. I think that really put a bad taste in everyone's mouth about Christos Giagos, because he had a big break too, if I remember correctly. No, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. Sorry. Either way, it wasn't. He didn't live up to the hype that both the UFC was painting, the commentators are painting, and probably even some of us are painting. Because I'm pretty sure I picked Christos Giagos in that fight against Tsarukyan, and poor decision over there because he got handled. And I think that's really what has to do with the fact that he's coming in at a plus 200, because you go record to record against these guys and they're fairly close. I mean, you listed off a lot of them, Derek. There's some really good fights that Giagos has had, and same thing for Moises, man. Both of them are very close, but I think it has to be the last fight of Giagos that really, like I said, put a sour taste in everybody's mouth. What do you think it is that has him as the underdog?
Well, I'd have to, just to be fair right here, I think that Thiago Moises is much more of a well-rounded mixed martial artist, man. Simply put, right? I think that his Muay Thai is pretty phenomenal. His striking is legit when he doesn't have a massive reach disadvantage, right? Striking is legit. He oftentimes uses his wrestling to initiate takedowns to then use his jiu-jitsu. So he's very heavy, aggressive type fighter, right? If you look at his takedown average, it's only one takedown per fight, but oftentimes they don't count a takedown if you pull guard or if you get in these weird scrambles and you end up in your guard or whatever. Now, Christos Giagos, this is basically, I think, how the fans are seeing this, how the odds makers are seeing this, is wrestler versus jiu-jitsu guy. And oftentimes the wrestler can do a lot of good work against the jiu-jitsu guy, but the jiu-jitsu guy can clearly catch the wrestler slacking. I mean, look at Thiago Moises, 3 knockouts, 6 submissions, 6 decisions, man. So it's not like this is a dude who you want to just be on top or a dude who you just want to get in his guard and just punch him a little. No, you don't want to be in his guard, because Thiago Moises is a dangerous jiu-jitsu black belt right here. So real fast, though, looking back at Christos Giagos, his record, man, lost to Tsarukyan, lost to Drakkar Klose, lost to Charles Oliveira, which is, let's see, where did that fight go? Submission loss, right? Lost to Josh Emmett, lost to Chris Wade. It's not like Christos Giagos fights bums, dude. He fights legit competition. But his wins have come against the Sorianos, the Minus, Hadzovic, Hirota, Batista. I mean, he was out of the UFC for a little bit. So this was like a former UFC run where he fought, Gilbert Burns, right? Chris Wade, like I said. So it's a little bit different when we're comparing it to a Thiago Moises, who 2 losses to Alvarez and Makhachev, but wins over Hernandez, Green, Johnson, lost to Damir Ismagulov. So look, he's fighting killers too. Kurt Holobaugh, lost to Benil Dariush. I mean, come on, bro. So that's crazy, right? Your second fight in the UFC and you fight Benil Dariush. I remember that fight. That was a good fight. But yeah, basically, so I just think that Thiago Moises, man, he can dictate the pace of the fight, but I think it's going to have to come with a little adversity. I think Christos Giagos is going to come out steaming, blazing hot, man. But the question is he willing to sit there and just stand and trade with Moises? Because he's dangerous on the feet too, man. He could drop you and then jump on top, do some submission. You see how Charles Oliveira, and I'm not comparing the two, I'm not saying that they're even remotely similar, but Charles Oliveira, he will be proficient with his Muay Thai, drop you, and instead of going straight ground and pound, he'll go immediately switch over to jiu-jitsu. Right, so then take the neck, snatch it up, all that. Moises, he has the option here, man, to do that. Christos Giagos is a formidable opponent, but he has been just slightly chinny, you know what I mean? Only 2 knockouts, right? But he does get dropped, kind of hurt a lot in these situations. I think Giagos can pull an upset, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Giagos can use that wrestling and just try to hold down Moises, because we're back in Vegas, so hopefully the judges kind of, level out a little bit. But you know what they've been doing with the control time as of late, and Giagos does average 3 takedowns a fight, so Ultimately, well-rounded dude versus specialist, more or less, right? Giagos is a tough outing, but Moises is very, very time-tested, and we're looking at props, brother. This is what I thought was interesting. A Thiago Moises submission prop is plus 215. So they like the submission here against Giagos. Wrestler, grappler, we already talked about it. Plus 500 for a TKO and plus 190 for a decision. The odds don't look very good for Giagos on props, brother. For a TKO plus 650, submission plus 1400, decision plus 375. So odds makers are fully on board with Thiago Moises. Do you like the money line at minus 240, or would you roll with any of those props?
What'd you say the submission versus the decision was again?
For Moises, plus 215 for submission, plus 190 for a decision.
I kind of like that 215 submission.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one a lot, especially a little earlier in the fight. You know, things are going crazy. The chaos is happening. Moises hurts. Giagos gets a submission, something like that. That's where I'm leaning a little bit like that one. What's the over under?
The over and under on this fight is looking like 2.5 rounds. Minus 130 for the over, plus 100 for the under. So odds makers like a decision here.
I'm rolling. I'm actually going to go opposite of the odds makers right there, man. I'm going to roll the under on this one. Submission for Moises. Let's go early round 2.
Okay. I respect it. However, I do think that this fight can play out a little similarly to the Alexander Hernandez fight, where Moises could be beating up Giagos. I'm not going to... Giagos is a great fighter, brother. I'm no disrespect here, but Giagos can have the upper hand, the advantage in this fight, and ultimately not be able to get that finish because of the toughness of a Christos Giagos. Yeah, he got caught against Sarukian in his last fight. It was just a perfectly placed counter. When you look at the loss against Drakkar Klose, that was the decision loss, man. And when you're fighting dudes like Klose, great wrestlers like Klose with great striking, and you got a specialist like Moises, man, maybe he wants to play it safe and just get a win on the board now that he's coming off of back-to-back losses. You never know how the mentality is going to play. So I'm actually going to rock with the decision prop here, man. I'm going to go plus 190 decision, a lot better than minus 240. I don't necessarily envision a knockout. However, that play is on the board. But ultimately, man, 6 submissions, 6 decisions. You more or less have an equal chance of either one of those happening. So you'll roll with the submission. I'll roll with the decision. So that means that I am taking the over in this fight. It'll be a fun fight, man. I like this fight. This will definitely be a fun fight.